questions, as I go through this, please handle it, but I really can't entertain a lot of discussion. So if someone has a quick question, you don't understand something of what I'm saying, please feel free to ask a quick question, and I'll try to explain it quickly, because I've got an hour, and then Jim Bound is going to come after me. He's going to deal with a lot of the subject in this, because he knows a lot of it a hell of a lot better than I do. So anyway, okay, on to the first slide. This is divided into different sections. The first one, if you have an iPad or an electronic device, you want to follow along what I've got, this is the print of what you'll see on the GMC Eastern States website. Oh, that's true, I forgot. I'm the VP of Technical for Eastern States, too. What do you call it? You'll find this. This is basically how to do the steps of what they all are. What I'm going to show you is just pictures, okay, of what it looks like when it's done. If you want to log into that and look at it, you can go to www.gmceast.com. That's www.gmceast.com, and follow along with this. You scroll down, detect it not. Oh, it doesn't matter. So anyway, now this thing I can.
You press left or right?
Left or right. Oh, okay. The first thing that under electrical that was suggested was put 3 switches in. One, you have that's the start battery, the house battery, and the boost battery. Now this is one of Jim's ideas that he does. Basically, obviously you can shut them off if you have a fire, you quick kill the power to go whatever's causing the problem. The boost switch is especially handy from a standpoint of, let's say you fry your alternator, you cut the belt, put that switch on, start your Onan, you got 12 volts, you can drive. Using the Onan, supplying the 12 volts. Okay, now this, let's just read the next one. The next thing talks about use proper conductor routing, keep wires from contacting hot exhaust or vibration and chafing against possible grounding circuits. The next thing, use fusible link circuit breakers or fuses on components fed from batteries. Verify that battery mounts, associated brackets, and hold downs are sound to assure that the batteries can't move, cause arcing against positive poles and grounds. Verify all connections are tight and well insulated. This is all pretty common sense stuff. The next thing comes, check the critters haven't built a nest in the heater box. That is where the resistor network goes in the side of the heater box. As you face the coach, it's on the right-hand side of the heater box, and that's what you can find when you take the heater box out. They've built stuff in there. So now you have, in this piece, you have a resistor network that generates heat. They control the speed of the blower motor in the air conditioning system with resistors. Now, they feed a set voltage in, and they burn up some of that power through the resistors. And you can set this on fire really easy. Okay. Next one is this service bulletin. Somebody brought it up about the way the battery living area battery cable is routed. I think pretty much they'd all pretty much be done by nowadays. What would you think, Jim? You find them? Still there? Okay. And that shows you the routing and the way it's supposed to go. So. Okay, this was purloined from Gene Fisher's site. A lot of this stuff I borrowed from different sites. This is the power electric fuel pumps. You should do it through a pressure switch. Where is it? They're right there. Do that. So that if you lose oil pressure or basically it shuts the pump down, you don't want a fuel pump pumping gas out on the top of a burning engine, because you've got power supplied to it. Okay. Then the next thing, the famous APC cable that prevents your generator from putting 600 volts, I think that's what Gene said, into the system and frying the nichrome wire. Very simple part to fit. Prevents that electrical problem. Next, you can mod these mods all accomplish the same thing. There's a way to get to the same point where you basically get the nichrome wire out of the system or protect for it, so to speak. This is one I believe was done by Kelvin Dietz. Is Kelvin here? That's yours, isn't it? Okay, that's his. He's got this is just one picture. There's a whole series of pictures that shows you how to do this if you want to do it. I just picked the one to show there's a resistor, okay? And this is this is the circuit that Jim Bounds does. He puts a resistor in also. This is my coach was done like this for 3 or 4 years, and I have no problems with it. It works. So, okay. Next thing we can do is we can go on to fuel, and basically I'll read a couple to you because there's no pictures to it. But rubber lines should not be used between a mechanical fuel pump and the carb inlet or anywhere near the engine or hot surfaces. We recently had a discussion. Somebody actually had that on the net, and it's really not good because obviously the rubber, perishes. Then the next thing is verify install the quadrajet inlet filter. Well, you can see the 1 and 2. But what this does is it's a last chance filter before you go into the carburetor. Ken Burton had a situation where he had a little piece of matter or something got stuck. I think, yeah, that's the needle valve, I'm pretty sure. And it stuck open, and it flooded fuel out of the carburetor onto the top of the engine. His engine caught fire, and it was a real mess. In fact, he talks about one of the things later on, and Tim will probably talk about, is types of fire extinguishers. All he had was a dry powder, dry chemical, and he basically said the dry chemical fire extinguisher made a bigger mess than the fire did. Because anything it touches, it corrodes really badly, so they're nasty. You really don't want to use one of those. But it's a difference between saving your coach or that's all you got, use it, obviously. Okay. Oh. Now this is a real little simple, neat fix. That line there, whoops, go back. That line, that's the solid metal line that comes across the front cross member. It goes up. This is just a plain metal filter. This is also in my coach. Metal fuel filter that basically, it's a heck of a lot easier to change that than to change the filter in there. Because if you have a hard metal line going to this, you basically have to loosen the carburetor up to get it off. Because it looks easy here, but you don't have the thermostat housing, all the rest of the stuff that's in the way. Okay, so this one, in fact, I put, after I was down at Jim's, we cleaned my tanks and everything, I put that in there, and every year I take it out, when I finish my tour, I blow through it, I put the same one back in again, because it doesn't get dirty, it hasn't gotten dirty, so. The other thing here also you can see is those are the braided stainless steel lines going up to the transmission oil, going up to the oil cooler, the engine oil cooler in the radiator. Okay. Oh, someone also noted that it might be a good idea to cover this rubber line in case, it was something hit it from off the road, it could tear it or something. I haven't done that, but that's something you could do also. Okay. Stay away from these things at all costs. Don't use them anywhere. Plastic fuel filters. There's been a number of cases people use these in the Onan compartment. Bad idea. That compartment gets hot. And just bad idea, period. They're not, use them on your lawnmower or something, but don't use them on an automobile. I don't think the price difference on a metal of that is anything of any significance. So stay away from plastic fuel filters. Okay. All right. Verify that all fuel lines, supply and vent, are sound and that they are compatible with ethanol, such as Barricade products from Gates or the Goodyear product. There's a bunch of links in here, but that's the Barricade product. That's the first one. This stuff is not cheap, but it's good. I mean, you've been using that for years, haven't you, Jim? Yeah. Next one. And this is let's back up for a second. There's two different types, two different pressure. One for if you have a carburetor, and another type if you have fuel injection, because obviously fuel injection runs normally at higher pressures than a carburetor. So there's two different types, and that's the two different types. As a low pressure and fuel injection in the Goodyear. I think this is what we did on mine, because when we did mine, the other barricade, I don't think it existed at the time. So. And then there's a number of links. Barricade, they're both available at Napa or O'Reilly's, and then there's some links that take you to the Goodyear site. Now, the other thing you can do is consider using this. This is called polyarmor, okay? And it's a metal tube, and it's reasonably priced, and it's available to, and you would use it for the entire system everywhere. And basically, you can actually make the system entirely in metal tubing. The difficult part is where the fuel comes up and the vent comes up out of the tanks. You have two beaded tubes. However, I discovered that the spacing between the beaded tubes is big enough to where you can cut the beads off and put a flareless type fitting on there on one end, and the other end is flared, okay? And that way you can then have a solid tank across the top of the tank, but you can still get it off, you know, easily, because one of the problems with the flareless tubing, you have to stick it in, and it goes in a fair amount, and you got to have enough clearance to pull it back out again. The other thing that you can do when you do that mod is drill holes in the floor and get to it from up top, and you don't have to drop the tanks. But this stuff is very good. A number of people have used this, and even if you do use rubber, if you use the good quality rubber, I think you won't have to mess with the lines again. That's for sure. So, okay. And polyarmor is available at AutoZone and O'Reilly's. If you download that and Napa has it too? Okay. I forgot to mention one thing. On the very first page of the document, there's 3 links. It's about the critters and the service bulletin, and I discovered that those links in that document don't work. I was talking to Byron Stronger, and what he told me was, if you copy those links, you copy and paste them into a browser, it'll go there. He said something about PDF documents don't treat links the way other documents do, and so I didn't understand what he was talking about anyway. But that's the key. So those 3 links there, if it doesn't connect, just copy them and paste them in your browser, and you can get there. Okay. All right, the next thing was oil. We broke it in. And what we said was install a fitting in the transmission line and run a line outside the frame to a catch can. Right there. That's the transmission vent. Now, is Manny here?
Yeah, man.
He's outside? Manny, you had some fittings at once upon a time, or somebody, and maybe Jim has it, that you can pop that out. And it's a fitting, you tap down in there, and you can put a hose on it. Ken Frey on when I bought my GMC, I bought it from Skip Newhouse. It was down in Hagerstown, Maryland. I made arrangements with Ken Frey to meet Skip's wife, Mary, and her son halfway, and anyway, to pick mine up. And Ken, then I brought it to Ken's, and Ken says, well, what do you want me to do with this? Okay, I want you to fix anything that'll kill us or leave us sitting by the side of the road. He says, what do you mean? I said, I just told you, do that. And that's what he did. The first year, the first tour, no problems that he had anything to do with. It was, we failed a master cylinder, but he couldn't have done anything about that. But what he did is he took a fitting, and I don't know how he put some grease on the tap, and pulled that out, and then tapped it, pulled it out, cleaned it, and then screwed a fitting into that. That's how he did that, and it worked fine. I never had any problems with the transmission from him doing that. So, okay. Okay, next thing is inspect these lines in a GM's in a 455. These up to that point are metal, and these are rubber. Okay. As I understand, on a 403, they're rubber all the way. If as I understand it, okay? So you want to inspect that because you're right underneath the exhaust manifold there, and if those lines are old, I mean, that rubber is going to be, you know, could be pretty brittle. So, and J.R. Slayton makes a set of hoses. This, from here to that point, are stainless steel, and the rest is braided stainless steel, which is aircraft quality, and you put them on and just forget about them after that. I mean, you won't have to worry about it. So, but in general, make sure that those are not, especially on a 403. I think they're a way, this, as I say, they're not exactly like this. They're a little bit further away. I think the oil filter assembly and whatnot is rotated a bit towards the outside. I'm not quite sure. I'm not familiar with a 403. I've got a 455. Okay. Next thing is replace any rubber lines in the exhaust manifold with a non-combustible type. Repair oil leaks promptly, makes sense. Inspect the transmission oil cooler, OEM and owner installed regularly. What I'm reading, these are basically the comments people have made, okay? Okay, those of you that have, I guess, 73 and through 74, when did they start putting the metal under the coach? Late 74? Where the original coaches only have a plywood floor. The later coaches have the plywood floor. Then they have about 3/4, I think, or maybe 1 inch of foam, and then there's an aluminum sheet, so it's insulated. Now, if you have just the wood, this is a very simple fix to prevent the heat from setting your floor on fire. That happened to Dan Gregg. He he was driving along, and all of a sudden, Terry said to him, "Hey, there's something burning here." And he turned around and looked. They had a hole in their floor with a muffler. It either had a hole in it or whatever, and it actually burned through the floor. So that's kind of an exciting thing. That's next. That's just cookie pans. Just plain old cookie pans, and you'd screw them down, on the ends. So you got, about an inch thick or so you got an inch air insulation. It keeps the heat off of it. It works. Real simple fix. There you go. Who's that? The Canadian comedian that did the joke about cooking the turkeys under your car as you're roasting along? Red Green. Yeah, he's a hoot. I saw that. I cracked up. Okay. Exhaust. Verify the gasket between the intake man and carb is not leaking. Obviously, in that area. Also, make sure that's not leaking. Too, where your choke goes down in there. That's upon the OEM carb setup if you don't have an electrical choke on it, okay? Next, repair all exhaust leaks so hot gases can't impinge on flammable surface. Common sense, okay? Next, once again, ONAN. Plastic fuel filters should not be used in the generator. Don't use them anywhere. This is my ONAN, and this is a muffler from Tom Hampton. Obviously, it's not the OEM muffler because it doesn't use that. But one of the things you make sure they said that check the ONAN muffler support bracket and exhaust for integrity, so you don't have an exhaust leak there. By the way, this is on the ONAN. That's a funky size tube, and the way Tom got around it, he found a copper tube that's he increased the OD of this a little bit. And found a copper tube that fit down in there that fit over, because I don't know, it's a weird size. Oh, another thing, let's see. It says check that's right. Insulate the plywood above the exhaust manifold with a suitable material. If I understand it correctly, Bert and Faye, where are you? Are either one in here? Yeah. Both of them out there. They make heat shield, thank you. A heat shield to go above it. I have, the Avions have a galvanized box around both the LPG canister and the ONAN. And since it's a rear twin, it's basically the ONAN is under Helen's bed because I sleep on the other side. I got some insulation that for sound that basically is foam rubber, dense vinyl, foam rubber, and then it's like reflective mylar, and I put that on the top and the sides. And what I noticed after a while was that the area directly above where the exhaust manifold on that foam where it was cooking. It was you know, drying it out. So my intent is I'm going to find some ceramic kind of insulation or something to insulate the outside so it can't get through there. And I think off the top of my head, I remember I shot it with a IR gun, heat gun, and it was well over 150 degrees. And as you got close to that, close to that exhaust manifold. But that's a good thing to do so it doesn't cook the plywood. Okay. Now we go on to miscellaneous. This is going quicker than I thought. Anyway, well, Jim, you'll have more time. Inspect the top of, hang on, see what's next. Oh, well, all right, inspect the top of the engine regularly to make sure critters have a nest, especially in the spring. It's, you know, you put that thing away, you know, and it's nice and warm, and before it cooled down, maybe someone came along and built a nest, and you go to start it up the next spring without looking, and, you know, oops, it's got a nest on top of that, okay? The other thing is, this is the inlet, okay? Build a screen across that so that they can't get up in that tube and build a nest, you know, in there, which, you know, wouldn't be good either, so. Okay, keep the top surface of the engine clean and free of debris as well as grease and oil. That makes sense. Obviously, stuff, you know, gets on top of that, you know, could ignite. Very important. And there was a video on the net about the next point. It says, don't pull over on the side of the road if there is high or dry grass, since it can come into contact with the hot mufflers and cause a fire. In other words, if your thing does catch on fire, stop right in the lane. Don't pull off the road. Stay there, because you could even, you know, could make it worse. You know, you can engulf the whole thing. And like I said, I saw a video where someone did that, and it, you know, didn't last long. It says, yeah, don't pull over on the side of the road if the coast is on fire. The grass will ignite. Okay, I don't know if I've got this. No. Oh, that's yeah, okay. What this is a picture of. Pouring aluminum or zinc, I'm not sure which, into the intake manifold. Oh, sorry. Into the intake manifold here to block that crossover passage. Okay, because that was basically put in there for automobiles in the wintertime to help them heat up quickly so they reach operating temperature quickly. The lows that this engine sees, I mean, they heat up really quick, so I think just about everybody does this. Plus, the aluminum manifold that's being marketed doesn't have that passage in. That was taken out, and you don't need it. You know, I mean, just if you're worried about temperature, sit there and let it idle for a little bit longer until it comes up. It doesn't take very long for the thing to warm up anyway. Okay, I picked up. Mondello sells some kind of a I don't know, it's ceramic material. You can do the same thing. You can plug this, and also there's a material called Hard Block that you can do the same thing. And I've got some down in Houston. When I get back, I'm gonna try and find time to put together a procedure how to do it, where you basically plug one side, you mix it. It's a Hard Block is like a concrete or material or something like that, and you pour it in there, and then. I was more or less looking at it from a standpoint of if you had a cracked manifold and both the bottom of the plenum and the bottom of the crossover were cracked, you could fill it up and, you know, you could save the manifold, okay? The other thing you can do is get a set of these from Dick Patterson, crossover heat block glove kit. He makes them for 403s and 405s, very easy to put in. And Dick and I were talking about this, and what he noted was that he is of the opinion, that I'm going to check for him, is that if you put these in, even if the manifold is cracked at the bottom of the crossover and the bottom of the plenum, normally when that's open, the plenum chamber will see exhaust gas temperature, which is on the range of, 12 to 1400 degrees. So obviously that crack is going to open up. Once you block it off, he has a picture he sent to me where he has the little choke port open, and you can see where his laser is down in there with the engine either running or just shut off, and it's recording something like, I think it was 180 degrees. So obviously, if that metal is no longer reaching 1400 degrees, 12 to 1400, that crack is not, the crack at the bottom of the crossover is not going to open up as much, it may not even open up at all, and the crossover at the bottom of the plenum, okay, because instead of seeing the temperature of the inlet air with the gasoline in it on one side and the 12 to 14 on the other side, it's now going to see inlet temp of the gasoline plus 100 and say 100 and what I say 180 degrees. So that crack is probably not going to open up. I've got a manifold that's cracked down in Sydney. I'm going to do that testing with a vacuum pump, and if that is the case, then that problem goes away. You don't have to fill it anymore. Just put these things in. That's one simpler fix. But I want to check that before I publish that. Make sure I know what I'm talking about. Where are we at next down? Okay, prevent coolant leaks, misting, spraying on hot exhaust manifolds. Evidently, antifreeze is flammable, you know, and it'll go up real quick. Okay. Next thing, provide access through the wheel well liners for fire extinguisher access. Makes sense. You get in and put the fire out. Okay. There's a little. Hang on. Yeah, here it is. This is a fire port, they call them. It's marketed by West Marina, yeah, or well, I think, or well, this says Marine East, but you can put one of these in, and on the back side of the step where if you have to get in there and have a fire, you can squirt it out. Dan Gregg has a nice looking engine. He has a glass floor above his engine, and he can watch it and so on. So he's going, if this thing ever goes up in fire, I'll know it quick because I can see it. And he's got one of these ports in there that he can squirt in. And he also has a fire extinguisher in there too. So, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Now we're getting to this is one of the types of. This is a kitty fire extinguisher that is for the home that someone suggested looking at. To use, and it's dry chemical, but it's a different kind of chemical stuff than the ones in the red canister. I can't remember what it's rated for, but like I said, someone suggested looking at that. I don't know if anybody's ever done it or not. Oh, all right. This is basically two sources for fire extinguishing. You know, either of the gyms. Okay, that's Ken Burton's engine, what it looked like after the fire. So you can see it's not very pretty. You can see the thing that was a real mess. Next. Oh, here, okay. These are pictures of burned GMCs I've gotten. That one looks like an electrical in the nichrome. It looks like to me where it started. There's nothing else up there. I mean, what else would burn up there? Well, who knows? But something electrical. That's real nice. You know, I can't remember whose that is, but
That was mine.
Who's that?
That's Michael.
Michael's?
Michael, we owned it 4 hours before that happened.
You owned it 4 hours. What was it? What was it traced down to?
It was so messed up, they didn't bother.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that's yours too, isn't it? No, that's another one.
It burned all the way to the back.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's that. Okay. Anyway, all right. I'm just going to go through the document a little bit more. It only took a half an hour. Okay. Well, there's different types of fires. I'm going to let Jim discuss that. Fire extinguisher types and comments. Basically, I'll just say you have gas, CO2, halon, and foam. Jim will explain more about which is the best for what. Water, not a good idea. Okay, Jim will just hit on these points some more too. Handheld fire extinguishers should be located where they're readily available, obviously. Dry chemical, keep the fire from your stove, Jen said, will. You must keep portable fire suppressed, otherwise you'll be fixing one problem while creating another one. if you don't suppress the fire in its infancy with non-corrosive firefighting agents, you're on for a long, hard road. I have first seen what halon, CO2, and firefighting foam can do, and I've repaired damage from dry chemical. I will take door number 1, 2, or 3 and leave the dry chemical to life-saving purposes only. Okay? Then we've got the sources, and then we talk about, it talks about fire escapes, and Jim is going to touch on that some more. And then I had the pictures of on the different fires. So I guess I can throw the open floor